Decision, Mr. Flores, this is a question for you. If we have a split decision like this, then in essence, when we vote it down?
Still doesn't change the fundamental question whether we have the authority to put an agenda item on there without getting the consent of the mayor.
You don't need the consent of the mayor.
Well, it was on the agenda until you advised. This is the first time in the 3 years I've been here I've ever had an agenda item not placed on when I made a formal request, no matter what the topic was. Have you ever had someone deny?
We've never
denied.
Few times this last few years, anybody could call and have anything put on the agenda. And then when something controversial seems to show up occasionally, it doesn't happen to us very often because as a rule we get along and work things out. But then it was what it takes two people, or it takes a mayor pro tem and somebody else. I think it should be just any council member should be able to do it. Even if it came up every 2 weeks, the people that are against it vote no, people for it vote yes, and it's over.
Okay, I know exactly where you're coming from. At the same time, there's been several items that have come through here in which I was in favor of. The last one, for example, was going to be the pay increase for not only the top 3 individuals, but even those individuals who are making $40,000 and above. So, you know, I wasn't satisfied with that, but then again, we all voted for it. So, you know, I leave it alone. There's been several variances that have come through, which we were pretty much split, and I leave it alone. I don't bring it back up. I just think that if we already acted on it, let's leave it alone. Let's move forward.
But as Councilman Smith pointed out, that's your prerogative. You chose not to bring it back up. I felt it was an issue that needed to be addressed. I felt like we didn't have consensus.
Well, can you imagine if we, you know, I feel that those issues were important also, and I guess I could bring it back up, but what for is my question.
I would absolutely welcome to bring it back up.
We already know what the votes are going to be. Why even go through that procedure? I mean, let's just leave it alone. Let's move forward. Let's not look back, and let's go forward.
Any one of those you want to bring back, let's bring it back.
From
Here we
some
go.
of the council member is if something is acted on either way, then it never gets back on the agenda. You don't think it should ever get back on the agenda? Either for or
I think you have the right to put it out of the agenda. If it doesn't pass, that's it. Now, if 4 members sign a document respective to the agenda, it's a majority. So,
but it doesn't state that in the city charter.
Correct.
common sense, you know, would tell you that.
Well, I've been here long enough to know that common sense doesn't prevail.
Well, that's your thing. Anyway.
And I don't agree with John on that. I mean,
Let's
this.
come back with a recommendation for us.
Our recommendation will be that we put in writing what we've been doing, and that is any member can place an item on the council agenda. And I think that's what we've been doing.
I think there should also be something said, something in there that would state that if something's being turned down, right? Bring it up.
And if it had been 4-2, I would not have brought it up.
Have the same item again.
Well, I know that a city manager was fired about 6 or 7 years ago, and if we'd have followed that deal, that wouldn't have happened. So, or 8 years ago, however long it was, where something was put on the agenda again to get somebody fired. So if that's what you're saying, then
Okay.
Raul made a good point there. While ago, it says, the name of the game is going to be wait till one of the other people or somebody votes against you, it's not going to be there. Not present.
But I guess that's going to be in the best interest of the citizens to have us present.
I see this very rarely happen, gentlemen, is the point I'm making. If I went along with John and wanted to put that Office of Court Administration bill on the next agenda, I assure if we did it and it lost again, I'm going to think it's a dead horse. Let's quit with it. So I don't see something going on and on and on. I don't think anybody's going to do that on this office.
Put it on the agenda for the subsequent meeting.
My point was that when an item is voted down by the majority, then it should not be brought up.
Right.
If an item is tied, you know, even though it's not voted on, it's a tie, then I don't have a problem.
And let me be clear, my intention was not to rehash it every week until somebody wasn't here. My intention was when I returned from Montana, having spoken to no one since we took our initial vote, that because of what I was told while I was gone, that maybe there might be a change one direction or the other, that I suggested that it go on the agenda one additional time. If it failed again 3-3, you'd never heard from me again about it.
Put it on for next meeting?
Yeah.
But how, so, put what on for next meeting?
Same item?
Friday.
The same item. Okay, but it's a rule, this is a discussion item, can we have a consensus that anybody can put anything on the agenda from now on?
But go through Mr. Harold.
But that's what happened. I agree with
Everybody's
that.
gonna go through
You
Mr.
met with Mr. Harold?
Absolutely.
Okay, everybody has the right to place whatever they want to on the agenda.
I agree with you.
Okay, and now put the Office of Court Administration on the agenda. That's what,
For the next meeting.
okay. So,
Did you restrict it?
Yes, I did. Well, for this week, so I'll officially request now that we have it on the agenda for next week. Well, next meeting, rather.
Yes, be October 9th, I believe, I'll do the next meeting.
Okay, we proceed now to item number 11,